encoding overload. Consider, well, disappeared. Uh, okay. Wait, scripts start. Yeah. Okay, we're fine. Now, today it is. I have just right now found out you can do F11. I don't know how to say it in English. That special key to maximize this. No, not Discord. I guess Discord too, but OBS. Anyway, uh, you learn something new every day. Yes, something along those lines. Why? Wait. Shut up. Thank you. I forgot to mute myself. Thank you. Now that's done, and I don't know. I guess I am more amazed by the quality sometimes than what I would have expected. You know, it's amazing to see that functioning well. So, yeah, I have to check if the source works. Supposedly, it lags a little bit. Wow, what a why does that happen? What a mystery. Okay, here we are. Exactly where we left last time. I have how much time do I actually have? Like 3 minutes? Yeah, 3 minutes. Let me actually read back a little bit so that I understand where we are standing here. Thank you. The audio works, so I'm happy about that. Thank you. What is all of this about? Pandavas, fitting, indulge, your anguish. Come on, man. Wealth. Okay. I remember, yeah. The conflict that happened between the kurus and not the pandavas, who was it? These other guys who found the kurus trying to attack them and who I don't know, it's something along the lines of they tried. Hey, who is they? Good question. These guys, the can I see that? Can I actually find that? I don't even know if I can find right now who are these people. The Gandharvas. Yeah. Uh, no, not that. Yeah. Then no, yeah. It is the Gandharvas. Basically, I remember the context a little bit, sort of. I don't know. I guess that whole theory of you only have so much memory for stuff. Okay, same thing here, which isn't all that surprising, taking more so into consideration the amount of names found in this book. But that's fine. We have -1 minute, or not -1 minute. It's like 45 seconds before we start. So I cannot actually leave. I don't know. Anyways, the point is, we get to continue reading, and also I feel good, so we should be capable of going for a little bit. I hope it goes well as always. I don't know. I think, yeah, I have said that lately, but I think it gets far easier the more you do that. and the more you learn how to, I guess, not exactly interpret or decipher anything like that. It's just you internalize the process of reading something and giving it an explanation that makes sense in any way for you personally, and from there on, everything else also sort of flows naturally. So that's a good thing. By the way, I just realized there was a schedule that I didn't pin yesterday. I am a professional streamer. Thank you. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We can probably start. We can we? There we go. Wow, such a change. Look, there it is. Now, also the question is this going to lag though? I don't want anything to lag, I don't want stuff lagging. That's going to be painful. It seems to run well. Good evening, Caspian. Hope you are well. Welcome. Good day, evening, morning. I hope you're having a good day. And yeah, Bob. Today we have in store reading, but I don't know. I'm not somebody. I don't really have that much to say. I'm not somebody who tends to do like, oh yeah, you know what, we have this activity, but let's wait. And I don't like that. I don't actually agree with that methodology. So sorry, but yeah, the point is, here we are today. We continue reading. Ah, today we keep on delving on stuff on stories. Is it a story? I guess, yeah. And it's about the Mahabharata, as always. I don't know. No, wait. Famine never? What are you saying? As in, what's the context for that? Yeah, certainly. I guess there is no famine in some way. I don't exactly know where, but yeah, the so true. But sorry, the point is, I don't know. I have been thinking. I want to. How do you say it in English? Don Quixote or something like that. How do you they pronounce it? The same thing? Content famine? Or yeah. I understand that. Yeah. It's understandable. It's now I get what you're saying. Suddenly, yeah, I don't know. There is a proper way to say it. Yeah, it's not so controversial. It's just that sadly, yes, sometimes, let me say it personally, if I didn't sit down and think what I am actually want to do, I think I will have an issue along those lines. But in this case, I think that something that makes it flow the best, so to speak, is the capacity to realize what is it that we actually want to do. It's like, oh yeah, I have a plan, therefore I can stick to the plan. Easy enough. If you have to guess around your own existence in a way, but probably that's going to lead to more. The definition here is famine, but it's just along the lines of, yeah, the incapacity to actually point towards anywhere that feels actually honest. And I don't know, yeah, it could be, it can be avoided, so I prefer to avoid it personally. So yeah, in that sense, yeah, truly, at least for now, no famine thus far. But yeah, no, wait. Before continuing, I was trying to say I had been thinking. I want to. One second, I don't even know when we're going to finish the Mahabharata. But when we do, we have to progress towards something else. I don't think I want to actually. I can say at least that much. I don't think it is something so controversial, and not in a sense of, oh wow, it is a bad book. I don't want to read the Bible, for example, on stream. I think we can do that, but I wouldn't do it. Personally, I wouldn't choose to do that. I think that, I don't know, there are many other, so to speak, sacred texts that can also be utilized to explore. I think, sadly, yeah, I had, being honest, there is something that I have realized. I do want to connect a little bit more with all of that side that is related to, as a Latin American, I do want to see stuff related to the Indians who lived here, And sadly, I think there isn't that much text from them, so I cannot actually say, oh yeah, you know what? Let's go explore. I don't know, the big book of the Mayans or something like that. Sadly, there is nothing like that, so I I can't explore that one culture particularly. Like this one, in the way in which we explore this one, unavoidably, we could we could always do something a lot more, I would say probably boring or alienated from the people themselves. We can always go and see how an anthropologist came to America and saw those civilizations and explained from their point of view what the Mayans or the Aztecs or whatever were doing. But that isn't actually a completely literal and direct translation or narration of the things that happened. Most of even more so, in the older times when anthropology itself was starting as a discipline, most of that was incredibly loaded with assumptions, pre-assumptions and such. So, anyways, I will have to figure that out. We still have, I don't know how much, 5,000, a little bit more than 5,000 pages. Probably, I don't know. At this point, I would also say maybe we don't really have 5,000 to go. We might have, I don't know. Looks good. Thank you. This one, at Fish. I should actually add that to the description. I should remember this to add that. I should actually do that. That was the person who designed that one. I finally feel capable of using it. It's, I don't know. I have it saved from like a long time ago. Sadly, I don't know. Men, I wouldn't say mental issues. It's more along the line of mental biases. That's the more proper definition in this case. Doesn't really make us feel capable of doing things that in themselves don't actually require that much. In feelings of in inadequacy and such, I guess. But it's fine. We get to slowly become better. But yeah, welcome, Tony. I hope you're well. Uh, what was I saying? Yeah. I was saying, probably something that I think will happen, taking into consideration how many, like this one. This is almost an entire empty page. Let me see. We have like many examples of that. This one is another almost empty page. There are so many pages that are almost completely empty that I think the Mahabharata might not be. I use it in the title 7,035 pages. Maybe it is, I don't know. Without those blanks, how much? 5,000? Maybe less. I remember many cantos that have literally one or two paragraphs or pages, not cantos exactly, but pages that were like just. Let me. Okay, there is just this much and nothing else. I have to We have to hope that it isn't going to be actually 7,000 pages of text. It has already proved to not be that much. So, anyways, the point is, we have to read. Let me actually start doing that. What is I want to see. Is everything fine? Yeah, my microphone is fine. Yeah, yeah. I guess. No. We're actually fine. We're actually good. No, wait. I didn't check. Can somebody tell me? Sorry, I didn't check that. Uh, let me do a quick test. I I have come to realize sometimes. Okay, no, it works. It works. We are so comfy. What was it? Yeah, chat sometimes lately. What do I use? Stream elements? What? Can somebody tell me what do I use? Properties. Yeah, stream elements. Stream elements has been like failing way more than what I would have liked. So today it isn't failing. So we are good. I can stop procrastinating in my own stream. Let me start. Uh, anyway, we are quick rundown thus far. Mahabharata story, Sanskrit story, sort. Wait, can I give a proper rundown? I think it is something along the lines of, yeah, the the Mahabharata is one of the founding myths of the not just or not in general the Indians, although the most of the Indian society is based around these people who follow most of what we find described here. Yeah, the Mahabharata is in itself part of one of the many cultures, and it in itself we find fantastic, as in fantastical, as in from fantasy. What will be another word? Like flourished? Is that an appropriate way to say it? Or decorated narration of stories of antiquity, of older kings and eras, and ancient eras and such. And all of that is basically just about previous people who used to live in this place that we now call India slash Bharata. And yeah, it's basically that. It's I guess it has like way too much about its mythology and such. Deities, the gods from what's the proper religion? Anyways, it's what is it? It's Hinduism. That one. And yeah, it's it's interesting. I guess it's a good read. I would no, yeah, I wouldn't actually recommend reading the entirety of this story. It's like way too long. I don't know. Don't read it. That's my biggest recommendation thus far. Do something else. But anyways, we still like to do stuff that might feel counterintuitive and such. So, beginning with today, where did we actually live? I was doing that so before we started. The quick rundown of the context that we need to understand for this particular piece of the story is bad guys named kurus were captured by the Gandharavas, who are friends with the good guys. Basic narration. The kurus bad guys were released by the Gandharavas because the Pandavas, main good guys, asked them to do so. There was a whole, not exactly philosophical, it was more along the lines of the Kshatriya, as in warrior honor, discussion about why they needed to confront themselves, why the Pandavas needed to have that whole right of confrontation with the Kurus, even if right now, unavoidably, the Kurus are far more weaker than what we have seen thus far. throughout the whole development of the story. But yeah, I don't know. That's as much as I can say thus far. Let me actually start. I'm forgetting something. I don't think so. So yeah, Canto 248. Osa Yadraparova continued. Karna says, O king, your conduct is immature. Kshatriya, what is so surprising in the Pandavas saving you when you were defeated by the enemy? Those that live in the dominions of a king, especially those who are warriors, must always do what is good for the king, whether their monarch knows them or not. Often, Kshatriyas who raise the ranks of an enemy are finally vanquished by them and are then rescued by their own troops. Warriors living in a king's realm should always unite and do their utmost for their king. If the Pandavas, who live in your kingdom, ferret you, why should you grieve? Indeed, that the Pandavas did not follow you when you went into battle is unforgivable. They live under your authority and have become your slaves. They are honor bound to help you, who are brave and strong and never turn away from the field of battle. You now own the Pandavas' world. They are still alive. They have not resolved to fast to their deaths. Rise up, my king. It is not fitting for you to indulge in such despair for long. It is the burden, no, bounden. What? It is the bounden duty of everyone in the kingdom to do what it is the king's best interest. Where is the cause for distress in what happened? If you do not do as I say, I will remain here by your side, worshipping your feet. Purushari Sabha, I have no wish to live without you. If you decide to kill yourself by fasting, you will only become the laughing stock of other kings. Even after hearing what Karna says, Duryodhana remains unmoved and does not stir from where he sits. Yeah, it's. I don't think that's Canto 248. I don't think this one is that deep. It's just continuing with the context. The kurus were liberated, went back to their own kingdom, and now the whole process, I guess, grave the actual processing of the bad event in itself and such, and all of that allows the people, or not particularly the people, allows the kurus to realize that, yeah, they might have already been, so to speak, outdone in terms of actual performance, mostly because also there is something very funny happening in terms of, yeah, these people are incredibly weak. They have to realize that even if they were afraid by those who might be called their inferiors, in strength they were nowhere near the actual kings, so to speak. And I don't know, it's interesting. I think it's mostly just a discussion, not that much more. Also, yeah, sorry. Good night, Crespian, and also thank you, Tony, for the lark. Have a good one, both of you, and have a good rest, Crespian. Good night. It's continuing with this. It's not such in itself a complicated discussion. The king, as it says here, who was it? Duryodhana. Duryodhana, the main figure of the kurus, was in this thought. Is that the proper expression? Because he wanted to actually feel a little bit better, or he thought that he was going to have a chance at fighting the Gandharavas. Unavoidably they lost, unavoidably the Kurus have realized how powerless they are. More so also because there is this other dynamic of not only they lost against the Gandharavas, but the Gandharavas themselves also lost against the Pandavas. So it's the realization that not only they are weak against one enemy, but the enemy that they were not capable of defeating was even weaker against those who they decided to call their actual enemies. It's a little bit, a little bit of, I guess, tempering their ego, but I don't know. The kurus are always like interesting figures in terms of wow, they are always weak. They are always also utilized to represent bad stuff and such. They don't actually talk about anything of, or they don't actually portray qualities of somebody who might be capable of attaining to higher realms of dharma and gaining such a good salvation as the Pandavas have already demonstrated amongst the lines of this story. So yeah, that's the basic here. Anyway, continuing. Canto 249, Hosha Yatra Parva continues. By Sampayana said, normally incapable of tolerating an insult, Duryodhana sits resolutely determined to fast to death, and seeing this, Savala's son, Sakuni, consoles him. Sakuni says, Scion of the Kurus, he heard what Karna said. He speaks wisely. Why would you so foolishly throw away the enormous wealth I won for you by giving up your life today, Rahan, through this silliness? It seems to me that you have never paid heed to what wise old men say. He who cannot control sudden occurrences of joy or sorrow is lost even though he might have prospered, even like an unfired earthen vessel filled with water. Subjects seldom respect the king who is destitute of courage, who has no spark of manliness, who is the slave of procrastination, who is indiscreet, or who is addicted to sensual pleasures. With all the good fortune you enjoy, where does this unreasonable grief of yours spring from? Do not negate this graciousness of Brita's sons by indulging your grief. Why do you grieve and reward the Pandavas when you should be joyful? Ah, your behavior is inconsistent. Be cheerful. Do not throw your life away. Instead, remember with a grateful heart the favor they have done you. Return their kingdom to Prince's son, and thereby win honor and fame. In that way, you can show your gratitude, establish brotherly relations with the Pandavas in friendship, and give them back their father's kingdom. Then you will be happy. That's no. Hearing what Sakuni says and seeing the valiant Dusasana lying prostrate before him and overcome by fraternal love, the king raises Dusasana up and, clasping him in his mighty arms, sniffs his head in affection. Karna and Savala's words move Duryodhana to shame, and utter deception grips his soul. Sorrowfully, he responds to his friend, I have no more need of virtue, wealth, friendship, affluence, sovereignty, or pleasure. Do not try to wound me. Leave me, all of you. I am firmly resolved to fast to my death. Return to Gastina and pray your respects to our elders. Then replied to that grinder of his foes, whatever course you take, we shall do, Mahabharata. How can we enter this city without you? Whatever his friends and advisors say to him, that king does not waver in his determination. The Dharatirashtra's son spreads kusa grass on the ground, purifies himself with water, and sits down. He casts away his royal robes, covers himself in rags and grass, and vows to observe Atikatora, the most difficult tapasya, falling silent. That tiger among kings, his mind focused on Swarga, begins to pray, shutting out the outside world. Meanwhile, the fierce Daityas and Danavas, whom the Devas defeated long ago and who live in Patala, the nether realms, find out about Duryodhana's vow, and knowing that if he dies they will be immeasurably weakened, begin a yagna with fire to fetch Duryodhana into their presence. Demons, masters of dark mantras, using the methods declared by Brihaspati and Usanas, conduct rites prescribed in the Atharva Veda and the Upanishads. Brahmana Asuras of rigid vows, birthed in the Vedas and their many branches, prayerfully pour libations of ghee and milk into the fire whilst chanting mantras. After those rituals have been completed, O king, a macabre and dreadful female spirit with a yawning maw rises from the sacrificial fire and asks to be commanded. The deities command her, bring the royal son of Dharatirashtra here from where he keeps a fast to end his life. She vanishes, saying, so be it. She goes she goes in an instant to where Suryodhana sits, picking up bodily and carries him back to Patala, to the great Danavas. The Danavas see the king who is brought into their midst in the night, and together they address Duryodhana with flattery, their hearts full of hope and their eyes wide with delight. That's Canto 249. I think the only most important part of this is what what Sakoni says. I wasn't actually expecting somebody. Once again, the archetype, so to speak, is the kurus are the bad people. So it's sort of surprising to see somebody being reasonable at once, telling the being the consultor of the kurus and telling the king of them to do something good is sort of surprising, I guess. It's the basic line. I would say probably something that opens up the path towards redemption. That's the most basic idea for the narration in terms of story progress or story progression and narratives and such, but in itself, it might as well mean in some ways that inside of their own mind there is a tiny change that starts to happen or that it starts to be born, and that is the realization that, yeah, unavoidably there is no more a capacity for the Kurus to stand as enemies of the Pandavas. Therefore, it might as well be better to finally forgive them for what is an unnecessary hatred towards their existence and to make amends in order to live in peace with them. Something along those lines. It's I wanted to be capable of saying it if it is something more so in the lines of, yeah, because they needed to bridge the gap that exists between the bad people and the good people, so to speak. I don't really know if it is that one part particularly or why is it that it happens, but there is some sort of reason behind that. I cannot actually disclose which one, not disclose, discover which one. But yeah, that's the important part. If there is there any other interesting side, I don't know, the whole ritual and such. There is going to be consequences for having moved somebody who is performing any sort of tapasya. So that's what we are going to see in the next canto, actually. But besides that, not much else, actually. So yeah, continuing. Canto 250. Ghosha Yatraparva continued. The Danavas say, O Suryodhana, great king, perpetuator of the Maharajas, you are living in the company of heroic and illustrious men. Why have you sworn this harsh vow of fasting to the dead? The man that commits suicide sinks into hell and everyone speaks ill of him, intelligent men like you never commit such sins, which are contrary to their own interests and that strike at the very root of their purpose. Set aside your resolve. It is against Dharma, destroys profit, happiness, fame, prowess, and energy, and enhances the joy of your enemies. Rahan, realize the truth of the divine origin of your soul and your body. Summon patience to your aid. Long ago, Maheswara gave you to us as a reward for our tapasya. Anaka, your upper body is composed entirely of thunder, Bahara, and is invulnerable to any weapon. The lower part of your body, which can captivate a woman's heart by its physical beauty, was made of flowers by Mahadeva's wife, the Devi herself. Best of kings, your body is the creation of Maheswara and his consort, Purusavyagara. You are not of human origin, but celestial. Other brave Kshatriyas of mighty energy, headed by Bhagadatta, all of whom have knowledge of the Vastras, will kill your enemies. Let this grief of yours, and now you have no need to be afraid. There are countless heroic Danavas who have been born into the world with the sole purpose of helping you. Other Asuras will insinuate themselves into the Atmas of Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and the rest. Possessed by them, these heroes will shed their dharma and fight your enemies. When the Danavas enter their hearts and possess them completely, they will cast aside their compassion and become savage and cruel. These warriors will strike down everybody who stands against them, not even sparing sons, brothers, fathers, friends, disciples, relatives, not even children and old men. As destined by Brahma, ignorance and rage will drive these tigers among men. Their hearts steeped in sin, they will, O kurus Satama, depopulate the earth with all kinds of weapons, with manly prowess and strength, all the while boasting to their victims, "You will not escape me with your life." These are the men that the Pandavas, who are just five, will face, vested with uncanny strength and favored by destiny. The Dravas will entirely destroy the sons of Pandu, Rahan. Many Daityas and Rakshasas have been born as Kshatriyas, and they, too, will fight your enemies, with arrows, maces, swords, spears, and astras as well. As for the fear that rests in your heart because of Arjuna, we have already decided how to kill him. The Atma of the slain Narakasura has assumed the form of Karna. In this form, he will remember his ancient hatred and he will kill both Krishna and Arjuna. This Mahabharata, and best of all warriors, who is proud of his ability, will vanquish Arjuna and all your enemies in battle. Knowing all this and wanting to save Arjuna, Indra, the wielder of the Bahara, will disguise himself as a Brahmana and take from him Karna's Kavacha and Kundala, the golden armor and earrings that make Karna invincible. Also, to this end, we have sent hundreds of thousands of deities and rakshasas into the world. They shall be known as Samsaktakas, and these inexorable warriors will slay the heroic Arjuna. Therefore, Rahan, grieve not, you will rule the earth without a rival. Do not yield to despondency. It does not suit you. If you die, all our kind will be weakened. Come, Kshatriya, do not even think of anything that other than annihilating your enemies. You are our refugee, in the same way that the Pandavas are the refugee of the Devas. The deities embrace the best of kings, and the Danavarishadhas, bulls among Danavas, cheer that irrepressible hero as if he is a son. Bharata, they steady his mind with soft words of deep enchantment, and then allow him to live, saying, "Go and be victorious." The female spirit bears Duryodhana back to the place where he sat. She sits the Kshatriya down and pays him homage. Then she vanishes. Mahabharata. When she has gone, Duryodhana reflects on all that has happened, as if it were a dream. He says within himself, I shall defeat the Pandavas in battle, and convinced that Karna and the Samsaptaka legions will kill Arjuna, the Dhritarashtra's evil son becomes strong with hope. At this very hour, Karna is possessed by the soul of Narakasura, and his heart hardens further in determination to kill Arjuna. The Samsaptakas, their souls taken by the deities and under the control of fell influences, also become intent on slaying Falguna, Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa. They, too possessed by the Danavas, lose their fondness for the Pandavas, and Suryodhana does not reveal what he knows to anyone. When the night has passed, Saryaputra Karnas says to Duryodhana, says to Duryodhana, with his palms folded in respect, a dead man never conquered his enemies. It is only alive that he achieves anything. Of what use is a dead man? Oh, Kaurava, where is his victory? I say to you, this is no time for grief, or fear, or death. He embraces his beloved friend. Arise, O king! Why do you lie down? Why do you grieve, Parantapa, having afflicted your adversaries with your strength? Why do you wish for death? Does fear grip you at the sight of Arjuna? I promise you this. I will slay Danahaya in battle, Lord of men. I swear by my sacred vow that before the 13 years are over, I will bring the sons of Preta to their knees before you. When he hears what Karna says, he remembers the words of the deities, as well as the police of his brothers, and Suryodhana rises. The demon's words have given this Purushabhyagara strength of resolve. He arrays his army of vast numbers of horses, elephants, chariots, and foot soldiers, with great royal white parasols, flags, and white tamara whisks, with chariots. What? Yeah, with chariots, elephants, and foot soldiers. That army moves like the majestic Ganga, looking as glorious as the sky after the monsoon, when the clouds have dispersed and autumn has signaled its arrival. Rahathiraha, king of kings, Brahmanas bless Suryodhana to be victorious and sing his praises. The Dhritarashtra son leads his army, receiving the honor of uncountable hands, showing homage to him, flaming in splendor and flanked by Karna and that gambler Sakuni, all his brothers, with Dusasana at their head, and Burisarava and Sumadatta, and the dauntless king Balika follow that lion among kings as he marches with a multitude of chariots, horses, and the strongest, most massive elephants. Best of kings, shortly the Kauravas enter Hastinapura. That's Canto 250, I think. Yeah. Concept is, I don't know, evil prevails. Something along those lines, probably. I think it was an interesting narration, to say the least, that the Danavas convinced the guy who was, I don't know. It's always sort of weird. It's this easiness that they have with life and their resolutions of, oh yeah, you know what, I am going to kill myself. You know what? Two paragraphs later, I will actually not do that. I don't actually want to do that. I am invigorated more now than ever before, so I actually will go and create a whole war with someone. Eh, I don't really know if that is something of huge importance. At least not in this particular context, I think so. Once again, it is interesting, but it is not everything that there is to the Mahabharata. The There was okay. There was something that I do know. I wanted to emphasize. That is, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. There was like one line that is important. I kind of forgot already. I'm incredible. I think, okay, while I keep on trying to find it, unavoidably, yeah, it does pronounce enough other commandments, so to speak. That's not exactly the issue of the Mahabharata, because it doesn't contain direct, strict rules. I guess the Vedas would have been a better reading for all of that, but at the same time, the Mahabharata is already sort of complicated because it talks a lot about the Hindu culture already. I don't truly know how this would work with the Vedas themselves, because I do know that they are even more in the word that we might find utilized here is profound. In this sense, we can equate profound to strict and even more different from our actual culture, from the Western culture. So I don't think the Vedas would have been a better choice in that sense. But anyway, um, can I actually find what I was looking for? The ideas. There is mostly because I want to actually find what was it that I read, so that the concept itself makes more sense. It is not just me making up something based on my fragile memory, you know? Uh, I don't know. Okay, yeah, let me say this much. I don't truly think it's all that. There is something weird. Personally, as a reader of this story, there is something interesting in terms of how many predictions there are about the stuff and who seems to be the one who is right. I will assume that probably in this case the Pandavas have demonstrated that they are the ones who are right. And we are going to see the conflict evolve and happen in the next chapters, you know? But unavoidably, that doesn't really mean that we are going to see the Pandavas die. I just think that it's something along the lines of most certainly, it seems to be a recurring theme that, yeah, the different. What is it? Brahmanas is the particular category of sacred people, so to speak, but not Brahmanas. Anybody who tries to imitate a Brahmana's power, as in as a very learned person, tries also to predict this stuff. I wouldn't. I think it is way too much of a deep reading onto anything to be capable of pointing out why the Brahmanas are always correct when they announce things, I guess. The easiest solution to that question is something along the lines of, yeah, unavoidably, a Brahmana is aligned with the knowledge that the Atman gives them, or something along those lines. The cosmic knowledge, and not just their own knowledge. It is the not being oneself that the Brahmana has integrated so much to their own essence, you know? But yeah, it's just an observation, not so much of an important detail. It's more along the lines of, yeah, people try to predict their own future. Unavoidably, in this case, they are wrong. I think so. I hope so. I don't know. I think it's not that all that hard to realize that, yeah, most obviously, you want to root for the Pandavas, not for the kurus, you know? They make sure that the reader gets the idea that, yeah, the kurus are quite bad. There are more than enough descriptions of them being bad, actually. But yeah, let me drink some water. I finally found what I was looking for. I just had to skim every single paragraph. This one. It doesn't matter. This part of Dharatirashtra's evil son becomes strong with hope. That concept. I think that, yeah, it's one of those many depictions of things that can easily go unnoticed, but that are not necessarily so minor as we can otherwise identify or assume that they are. In this case, I do think that it is of the utmost importance to be capable of saying that, yeah, hope is something important even in this culture. I don't think that is a crazy statement in any way. It's just that, yeah, otherwise it could feel like what matters is being a strict, diligent, or obedient person. While that might be true, that doesn't always mean that that is the only thing that matters in existence. There are other aspects along those lines of, yeah, no matter how many gods are out there, even in this culture, you still need to possess some kind of hope for anything, towards anything. And in that sense, it is that, wow, surprisingly, they can make such a tiny remark about something that could be described as the main reason as to why somebody, once again, switched from wanting to kill himself to literally being ready to even die on battle once again, continue pursuing his tapasya and such. Anyway, next canto. That's the only thing that I thought was all that important there. Continuing. Canto 251. Hosa Yatra Parva continued. Hanamehaya said, "What did sons of the Dharatarashtra, those best of men, superb archers, do while the Pandavas lived in the forest? And how did Karna, Sakuni, Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa occupy themselves during that time? Tell me all this." Vaisampayana said, "O Maharajan, after the Pandavas had freed him, Duryodhana goes to Hastinapura, where Bhishma says to him in the Kurusabha, 'Child, I told you when you were determined to go to the forest that I was not happy with your plan. You went anyway, and you were taken captive by the Gandharvas, and then rescued by the honorable Pandavas. Still, you are not ashamed? Oh, son of Gandhari, you saw how the Suta's son panicked and fled from the Gandharvas with your army. In your distress, you saw for yourself the prowess of the noble Pandavas, and also that of Karna, the sinful Sutaputra. Karna cannot measure up to a quarter of even one Pandava, be it in the Astra Shastra, in courage, or in Dharma. For the well of this house of Kuru, it is best you make peace with the Pandavas. Dharatirashtra's son laughs impudently at Bhishma and abruptly walks out with Sakuni, his brothers, mighty bowmen all, with Karna and Dusasana at their head, follow Duryodhana, not knowing where he goes. Pitamaha Bhishma, the grand sire of the Kurus, hangs his head and retires sadly to his apartments. After Bhishma has left, Dharatirashtra's son returns to the Sabha and consults his advisors. Hmm. Yeah. Welcome. Eh, Ramundo? I hope it's proper pronunciation. He says, "What is the best course for me to adopt?" Is there something else I should do? Let us discuss how we can achieve what is best for us. Karna says, Duryodhana, take to heart what I am going to say. Bhishma always blames us and praises the Pandavas because he dislikes you. He hates me as well. He always insults me in your presence. I will never forget what Bhishma said to you. When he extolled the Pandavas and berated you, Parantapa, my king, give me command of your men, your armies, and your chariots, and I will conquer the earth with her mountains, woods, and forests. It took 4 powerful Pandavas to subdue Bhumi, but I will do it single-handedly. Let that drag of the Kuru race, they will mind that Bhishma, who reproves the innocent and praises the undeserving, witness my might and feel ashamed of himself. Oh, Rahan, only command me, and victory will surely be yours. This I swear to you by my vow. Listening to Karna, Duryodhana is delighted and says to him, I am unrivaled. What? Sorry. I am blessed with the wealth of your friendship. You are endowed with unrivaled strength and devoted to me. My life has borne fruit today. Go, O valiant one, and vanquish all my enemies as you intend. May good fortune follow you. Command me, what shall I do for you? Karna loses no time in gathering all that he needs for his expedition. Then, on a good day of the lunar calendar, at an opportune moment, and under the influence of a nakshatra presided over by an auspicious deity, he sets out. The Dvihas honor him. The Brahmanas pour auspicious and holy water over him in blessing, and all who are gathered sing his praises as he goes forward, filling the 3 worlds, its mobile and immovable beings, with the rumble of his chariot wheels. That's Canto 251, I think. Yeah. Now, yeah, 251. The question is, what is actually the point of this? Is there anything to extract? Can we is there some particular point here? I I think that one of the few interesting ideas and such is no, yeah, the whole conversation between Bhishma and the Kurus, or yeah, his leader Suryodhana. That much is an interesting exchange, quote unquote. It isn't even an exchange. It's just the the always repeating story of the elder reprimanding the younger fellas for doing something bad. Not all that, I wouldn't say important, not all that deep. But besides that, I don't know. I think, yeah, it's everything else is just a continuation of feeding onto the mind of the Duryodhana, one of the many gurus that, yeah, they might not be as good or they might not be as capable of having stuff because the Pandavas are always sort of oppressing them and such. I guess that much is an important message. Besides that, there is not much more actually, at least in this canto. Um, and besides that, we also have the war that is coming, or the conflict. I wouldn't say war. I guess the conflict that is coming. So we have to. I would rather continue towards that. I don't know. I hope we can read that. Uh, so yeah, continuing. Also, thank you, Raimondo, for the follow. Let me let me ring, and after that we continue. Canto 252. Hoshayatra Parva continued. Vasampayana continued. With a teeming army, Karna besieged Draupada's beautiful city. After a hard-fought battle, Karna calls Drupada, makes him surrender his gold, silver and jewels, and also makes him pay a tribute to Duryodhana. Once he has defeated Drupada, he goes on to subdue the vassal kings and extracts tribute from them as well. He turns northwards and brings those kings under his sway. After defeating the unvanquished Bhagadata, Aratheya Karna climbs to the top of the colossal Himabat, crushing all whom he encounters on the way. He conquers all the kings living on the Himavat mountain and makes them all pay him rich tributes. Descending from the mountain and moving to the east, he subdued the Angas and the Vangas, the Kalingas and the Shundikas, the Magadhas and the Karakan. Okay, not again with names. The Magadhas and the Karkakhandas, Avasiras, Yodhyas, and the Hikshatras. Having conquered all the east, Karna goes on to subdue Vatsabhumi, Kevala, Ritakavati, and Mohana, and Patana, Tripura, and Kosala, and forces tribute from them as well. He turns his attention to the south, where he vanquishes the Maharajas of those kingdoms. There, the Sutaputra encounters Rukmi. After a dreadful battle, Rukmi says to Karna, Rahendra, foremost of kings, I am impressed by your strength. I will do you no wrong. I have only fulfilled Kshatriya Dharma. I will gladly give you as many gold coins as you wish. Karna proceeds then to the Pandya kingdom and to the mountain Sri, defeating King Nila of Kerala, Benudari's son, and other mighty kings of the southern kingdoms. He extracts tribute from all of them. The Sutraputra goes on to crush Sisupala's son and brings all the neighboring rulers under his dominion. Bharatrisabhya. He subjugates the Avantis and makes peace with them. He defeats the Vaishnis and conquers the west. He goes to the sea kingdoms of Varuna and makes the Yavana and Barbara kings pay him tribute. Thus, the peerless Karna conquers all the kingdoms of the north, south, east, and west. That hero single-handedly subdues all the Lelechta nations, the mountain kingdoms, the Badras, the Rohitakas, the Agreyas, and the Malavas. He defeats the mightiest chariot warriors and the Sasagas and the Yavanas. Having conquered the whole world, this Maharata, Purusavyagara, Karna returns to Hastinapura. The Dhritarashtra's son, with his father and his brothers and friends, comes out of his gates and greets Karna, and he pays homage to the warrior crowned with victory. The king proclaims his feats and says, You have given me what no one else has, not even Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, or Valika. May God bless you. What need is there for lengthy speeches when in you, Karna, Haniswara, God among men, I have my refuge. Mahavaho, Narapungava, neither all the Pandavas nor any of the other prosperous kings measures up to a sixteenth of you. Karna, look on the Dhritarashtra and the illustrious Gandhari as the Bharathari does upon Aditi. A great uproar rises in the city of Hastinapura. A great clamor and cries of both "Oh" and "Alas" fill the air. Some of the kings praise Karna, while others censure him, and some say nothing. In such short time, Karna has conquered the earth, replete with her mountains, forests, and skies, her oceans and islands, her fields, highlands and lowlands, and her cities. Lord of earth, he has brought kings under his control and garnered endless wealth. Thus does the Suta's son present himself to the king, and entering the palace, The hero stands before the Haratirashtra and Gandhari. Karna, learned in Dharma, takes the Haratirashtra's feet in his hand, as a son would, and the Haratirashtra embraces him affectionately before allowing him to leave. From then on, Rahan, King Duryodhana, and Subala's son Sakuni consider that Prita's sons have already been defeated and slain by Karna. That's Canto 252. I am actually trying to do the under. Is there anything besides the point of? I think the only possible reading that you have onto this one is probably how. It's complicated. I cannot still identify. I wasn't actually. I try, as always, I try to make some sort of translation of what we're reading onto not just the story itself, but also something that can be applied in other realms of reality, so to speak. And I don't actually understand, in some cases, if we are truly having some sort of metaphor, or if it is just a deformation of the message itself that I end up doing on my own end. I don't think that actually, in this case, Karna represents that much in terms of, oh yeah, he's a bad guy who is helping the Kurus attain the utmost power before they get to be defeated by the Pandavas, as in the good guys. What does that actually mean? I think that the point lies a little bit more along the lines of just, well, this guy is just one of the many devices, so to speak, that the Kurus have in their hands to try and, okay, let's say like this. It's, I guess, more than anything else, just a theory, but it's one of the many things that the gurus, as that embodiment of the evilness of the world, are given to try and demonstrate that indeed they might try to fight against the goodness of the world, which is represented by the Pandavas. So, it is in all of their efforts that we get to see how much they always strive to dominate the goodness of life, so to speak, of the, what is it? Of the earth. I don't actually remember the term that we utilize here. Of the normal, the human earth, the Kshatriya realm and such. And it is why also that we can see that Karna ends up having such an easy time conquering the whole earth in literally just one canto, as in a very brief amount of time, basically, because it isn't even included in the narration how much time passed, as in to indicate that it was a very rapid expansion throughout the whole world. So, what else am I missing? Yeah, I don't know. It's just an amplification of the already existing dominance of the Kurus to once again try and contest their power in their utmost expression towards that of the Pandavas. But in itself, that isn't a match. Actually, I don't know, the Mahabharata predicts itself way too much. I think they are going to win anyways. I don't know. Unless I am missing something. As far as I understand, the narration is the Pandavas fight them and they end up the Pandavas end up winning against the Kurus in this second confrontation, supposedly. So we will see. Anyways, let me continue. Okay, here we are. Also, my hand almost cramped. Sorry. Canto 205, 253. Oshayatra Parva continued. But Sampayana said, Lord of men, the Suta's son slayer of hostile Kshatriyas, says to Duryodhana, Duryodhana, keep the words that I now say to you close to your heart, because, Parantapa, after having heard me, you must do as I say. I have rid the earth of your enemies. Now rule her as Sakrados Devaloka after destroying his enemies. The king replies, nothing is unattainable to him who has you at his side, to whom you are devoted and whose welfare you have at heart. I have a plan which I want you to hear. Listen, ever since I saw the Pandavas performing the wonderful Rahasuya Yagna, I have wanted to celebrate that very Yagna. I must make this wish come true. Karna says to the king, now that you have conquered all the rulers of the earth, you may summon the chief Brahmanas and, procuring whatever you need for the sacrifice, undertake it in glory. O best of kurus, let the Ritwiks celebrate the Rahasuya Yagna in accordance with the rules laid down in the Vedas. Begin your great Yagna, Bharatarisabha. Let it be grand, abounding in meat and drink, and indeed an abundance of all things rare and desirable. Duryodhana summons the priest and says to him, I want you to celebrate that greatest of sacrifices, the Rahasuya Yagna, with abundant gifts. The Brahmanottama says to the king, Lord of the Kauravas, as long as Yudhishthira lives, this sacrifice cannot be performed in your clan. Furthermore, your father, too, is still living. Rahotama, you cannot undertake this yagna. There is another great sacrifice that is similar, even equal to the Rahasuya. Perform that yagna. Rahan, listen to me. All the rulers of the earth who have become your vassals will pay you tribute in gold, in various degrees of purity. Use that gold to make the sacrificial plov and Mahabharata plov the site for the Yagnashala with it. There, with the proper rituals and undisturbed, begin your sacrifice, Rahad Hiraha. Sanctify it with mantras and serve all manner of delicious food in plenty. This sacrifice, worthy of the most virtuous men, is called the Vaisnava. No one other than the ancient Vishnu himself has ever performed it before. This wondrous sacrifice compares with the Rahasuya. Moreover, it will prove most beneficial to you. You can celebrate it without any obstacles, and your desire will be fulfilled. When the Brahmanas say this, the Dhritarashtra's son says to Karna, his brothers, and Sakuni, what his brothers and Sakuni says, I like what the Brahmana says. Tell me if you also approve. They all say, Tadastu, so be it. The Rutkana points his people, one by one, to various tasks. He arranges for artisans to make those sacrificials plow, and all that needs to be done is gradually accomplished. Simple enough, Canto. The point is, yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's not really that much of a complicated description. It's just that you need to be following, I guess, the development of all the different yagnas. Are there names? Yeah. Yeah, different yagnas, as in rituals that they possess to sanctify and adore the gods and purify their lineage and such. The point is, yeah, unavoidably, there are many conditions to them, and even more so, the what's its name? The Rahasuya Yagna is literally the most important one, or the most powerful one that anybody can perform, and that is allowed only to be performed by the literal king of the earth. So, unless you can do a if you want to do a Rahasuya Yagna, you have to literally be the only king with the utmost authority. No one else can contest it. And that isn't happening right now. The kurus are still being in in discussion, so to speak, with the pandavas. So yeah, that's why it's easy. Once you understand that, the explanation as to why it cannot go through becomes easier to see. The problem is, I guess, I think it's the literal first time that I hear about this other Vaishnava Yagna. I remember that there was a part in which we observed many different yagnas, but that was like, I don't know, 500 cantos ago. I cannot remember that, brother. Sorry, but I cannot actually remember that. Uh, but it sounds good, I guess. I don't know. I always, okay, let me say it like this. I always have a bad feeling when we read about anything that has to do with the kurus. There are way too many unspoken things that happen behind the scenes, so to speak. Many things that are not completely certain, that are, they are, by definition, the kurus, once again, embody the bad people, and something that always happens with them is how they are so prone to lying and such. So that's why I also sort of always doubt what I am reading when I read anything that has to do with them. I don't actually know. Uh, this this Brahmana is saying, oh yeah, the Vaishnava is the best ritual that you can perform besides the Rahasuya Yagna, because that one is literally inaccessible right now to you. But I don't know if it is true. I cannot actually know that. I sort of doubt. But anyways, what are going to see? Probably another one of the consequences of actions that we are going to understand after they happen. Not so much that we can spend trying to understand them before we actually get to see what happens. Mostly also because there is this whole spiritual element to it. So you never know if a random, no, sorry, if an spirit doesn't come into play and change things for the better, for worse, completely out of nowhere. But yeah, continuing. Country 254. Kosha Yadra Parva continued. Basampayana said, all the sculptors, the chief advisors, and the wise Vidura approached Dharatarashtra's son and said to him, the preparations for the great sacrifice are complete. The time is right. Bharata, the precious golden plough, is ready. Durgadhana commands the commencement of that Mahayagna. The Vaishnava Yagna begins, sanctified by mantras, and with an abundance of food being served. The son of Gandhari is initiated as the sacrificer, and Vidura, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Karna, and Gandhari are happy indeed. Duryodhana sends swift messengers to invite Kshatriyas and Brahmanas from across Bharata Barsha, and they go forth on fleet chariots with the king's invitation. Then, to one of the messengers about to set out, Dusasana says, go to Dvaitavana and invite the Brahmanas and the black-hearted Pandavas. That man comes to the hermitage beside the lake and, bowing to the Pandavas, says, having acquired immense wealth through his prowess, the Kuru prince Duryodhana is performing a yagna. Kings and Brahmanas from all over the Holy Land will attend his great sacrifice. The noble Duryodhana has sent me to invite you. You must come to his Vaishnava Mahayagna. Having heard the messenger out that tired among kings, Yudhishthira says, it is fortunate that Suryodhana, the enhancer of his ancestors' glory, is performing this best of sacrifices. We would surely have come, but we are bound by our vow for 13 years. Bhima adds, Yudhishthira Dharmaraja will go there only when he can cast Duryodhana into the sacred fire that is kindled by weapons. Go and tell Duryodhana that when the 13th year is complete, that Lord of Men, son of Pandu, will pour his anger as a libation over the sons of the Haratirashtra at the Yagna of war. I will also come to that sacrifice in blood. The Pandavas, Rahan, say nothing unpleasant, and on his return, the messenger reports everything to the Dhritarashtra's son. Many lords of men, kings of countless countries, and great and pure Brahmanas come to the Dhritarashtra's city. All of them are pleased with the reception they receive in Hastinapura. With this ceremony, the Dhritarashtra is surrounded by all the Kauravas and is at the pinnacle of his joy. He says to Vidura, Kshata, make haste and serve everyone who has come with food and delicacies to their heart's content. The learned, honorable Vidura cheerfully entertains all the different people from various ranks in society with meat, rice, and drink. After welcoming them with fragrant garlands and a variety of clothing, opulent pavilions have already been raised to accommodate them. Duryodhana entertains thousands of his satyas and brahmanas and gives them all kinds of rich gifts before he takes his leave of them and enters Hastinapura, surrounded by his daughters and with Karna and Sakuni. Yeah, it's. I don't think this one is all that complicated. Sorry, Canto 254. The point in itself is just that, yeah, unavoidably the kurus get to perform a ritual. I don't know. I think the only part that is sort of confusing is why they would invite the pandavas. I guess to sort of make them feel bad in a way to show off to them that they are going to perform a what is it a yagna, that the kurus are going to perform a yagna unlike the Pandavas who cannot do anything like that because of their current status and those 13 years that have to pass and whatnot. I don't think that there is any other reason as to why they would actually invite them. It's sort of an obvious reality that both, in that sense, it's not just the Pandavas. I was going to say both the Pandavas and the Kurus. It's more like most Kshatriyas understand the rituals and the traditions and such, and are capable of aligning themselves with what is the right thing to do in their current culture. So they understand that, yeah, if they are banned from a place, they are not going to be going there, even if they're invited, unavoidably, because that is going against the tradition and rules and whatnot. So I don't think that is a reasonable thing to have actually invited them. I guess it's only an action of, you know what, these guys have to learn that we are doing much better. Go and show off, tell them what we're going to be doing. But that's what I want to see. Yeah, no, it says here, you must come to his Vaishnava Mahayagna. Have we actually heard about the Vaishnava Mahayagna before, or the Vaishnava Yagna before? I don't actually remember. I actually don't. I guess that's literally a skittish on my end. Because I would have expected that if the Pandavas heard about that, they would have had any kind of reaction towards that Yagna. Mostly repeating what I said before, because I don't really know how good this one is. I understand the role and the way in which all basic Yagnas work, but this one that came out of nowhere, with that whole idea of, yeah, literally just one person in the whole history of the world has performed that one before. So now you might also get to try or not to do it. And if you do it, there are going to be consequences, either good or bad. You have to try. So I don't know. Anyways, let me continue. I was lying. Let me drink water before I continue. So 255. Okay, we're ready. Canto 255. Hoshayatra Parva continued. Vaisampayana said, Duryodhana enters his city to the sound of eulogies being sung to his endless stride. His might as an archer and his fame as the greatest of kings. The citizens fling fried paddy over him, sprinkle him with sandalwood paste, and say, O king, it is by good fortune that you completed your sacrifice without facing any obstacles. Some that are bolder, more reckless, and caring little for the consequences say, your sacrifice cannot be compared with Yudhishthira's. Indeed, it does not measure up to a 16th part of Tata Rahasuya. His friends, however, say your yagna has surpassed all others. Yayati, Nahusha, Manthata, and Mahabharata all performed this very yagna. They were purified and have all found Swarga. Hearing his friend's pleasing words, the king happily enters the city and goes to his palace, Bharatari. There he worships the feet of his father and mother and of others, like Beach Matrona, Kripa, and the wise Vidura. In turn, his younger brothers pay their reverences to him, and that giver of joy to his brothers sits on his throne, surrounded by them. Karna stands and says, with good fortune, Bharatutama, you have completed your great yagna. I will honor you once again, as I do today, when you have killed Preta's son in battle and have performed the Rahasuya yagna. The Dharatirashtra's mighty son replies, well said, O Purushottama. When I have killed the lowly Pandavas, and when I celebrate the Rahasuya yagna, you shall indeed, O hero, honor me again. Saying this, the Kaurava embraces Karna and begins to dream about performing the Rahasuya, best of all yagnas. He declares to the assembled kurus, Kauravas, when I have slain all the Pandavas, I shall celebrate that foremost of yagnas, the Rahasuya. Now Karna says to him, I vow, O most majestic of kings, that until I have killed Arjuna, I will allow no one to wash my feet, nor will I eat meat. I will observe the Ashura Vrata. I swear that I will never refuse anything to anyone who asks. When Karna makes his vow to kill Arjuna in battle, those Maharatas and Viral bowmen, the sons of the Dharatirashtra, set up a loud cheer, almost as if that the Pandavas have already been killed. The magnificent Duryodhana leaves the others and goes to his apartment, like the Lord Kubera entering the garden of Chitrarata. Bharata, all the rest also return to their apartments. Meanwhile, the Pandavas are distressed by what the messenger said. Then some spies come and tell them of Karna's vow to kill Arjuna, and Yudhishthira is deeply troubled. Thinking of Karna, of the impenetrable mail, and of his superb prowess, he knows no peace. The Dharmaraja is full of anxiety and makes up his mind to leave Dvaitavana, emerald forest that teems with game and other creatures of the wild. Meanwhile, the Dharatirashtra's royal son rules the world with his brothers, and with Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa, all with the support of Karna crowned in martial glory. Duryodhana bent his mind to the welfare of the kings of the earth. He worships Brahmanas by celebrating sacrifices and giving bountiful gifts, and occupies himself with promoting his brother's welfare, in the firm conviction that the best use of wealth, its true joy, lies in sharing it. Finally, something good. It is literally at the end of the sentence of the canto, of the last sentence of the canto, that we find something interesting. The best use of wealth, its true joy, lies in sharing it. So true, Umfi. Nothing better than that. That's I guess the most important thing being actually said. I don't know. I guess I don't truly get to understand the whole dynamic here as to why the Pandavas worry so much about Karna? Not because okay, there is this whole narration of yeah, Karna is a guy who is very strong. He's one of the Kshatriyas that was given much more strength than the average Kshatriya, who is already incredibly powerful. So Karna is, in many ways, quite an amazing warrior, but at the same time, I think it is Arjuna who proved to be given by who is it one of the main deities, a weapon that is capable of even killing devas, of even I don't exactly remember the description that it was given when it was being talked about. I think it is something along the lines of one of those weapons that if it were to be unleashed even against one of the most strong beings like Vishnu, it will be capable of dealing damage to them or killing them. That it needs to be handled carefully. So I guess I don't know. Maybe that's the implications that we have to assume. Maybe Arjuna hasn't talked about that. We understand about that. Because we have read about it before. But in the context of the story, it is not sort of necessary for them to disclose such things. Like I don't know. There are many stories like that have happened inside of the Mahabharata already. Like when Bhima, one of the other Pandavas, had so many experiences in the world and whatnot. We didn't have like recapitulations of the whole Pandavas discussing all the things that they have. And still, it is understandable that they will be quote unquote in distraught. They are still in a position of lesser power, so that's understandable, I guess. Now, the question is, I think we can go for a little bit longer, but I have to. I am a human, sadly, so I have to ask for like 3, 4, 5 minutes of a timeout. Let me let me reset this thing. I think we can continue, but first and foremost, I need the so-called idle break, to go and do some stuff. And also because yeah, it has been an hour and a half or so of me sitting here already. I sort of need to stretch before I end up having a cramp here. So yeah, give me not 5 minutes. I will try to not be 5 minutes out, but sometime. I don't know how much actually. 3. Let's say that 3 is good. But yeah, give me that. Gimme. It says 5 there. Ignore that. Assume that it says 3. Yeah. Uh, don't worry. Wow, I am time here. Sorry. Also, I tell this. Can you actually transition? Okay, tell this. Tell this. Now, here we are. So, after a tiny break, we. Where did we leave? Ah, the. Yeah, the not exactly the preparation, it was the finished rituals of the kurus and how the pandavas were feeling more than anything else. So yeah, that's all the relevant context, I guess. I don't know. The issues of the pandavas towards Karna also, who has been one of the embodiments of evilness that has come to fight the pandavas, also presents itself. I think it's interesting, but I don't actually have that much to add besides what is already obvious enough. So yeah, that's that, I guess. Now, something else? What else am I forgetting? No, I think we can continue. Wow. How do I say this, brother? Uh, this is a word. Wow. Okay. How do I say this? As in, actually, how do I say this? Maria swap. Not. Wow. There are. Okay, it's not that hard, but let me try. Canto 256. Maria's Wapnobhaba Parva. Yeah, so true. Hannah Mechaya said, after saving Duryodhana's life, what did Pandu's mighty sons do in the forest? Tell me about them. Vaisambhayana said, once as Yudhishthira lies asleep at night in the Dvaitavana, some deer, their voices choked with tear, appear in his dream. Their bodies tremble as they stand before him with their forelegs reverently folded. Yudhishthira says to them, what do you want to say? Who are you? Tell me what you want. Those deer, which are the ones that remained after the herd had been slaughtered, reply, O Mahabharata, were there deer left alive after the rest of our herd was killed? Soon we will all be dead. Want you to move to another part of the forest, great king. All your brothers are Kshatriyas and skilled archers. They have thinned the ranks of our herd of forest dwellers. The few remaining of us are left like seed. Mighty one, by your grace and favor we can increase again. Sing this deer, which remain like seed stock after a crop has been harvested, shaking in fear, Yudhishthira is grief stricken. Always mindful of the welfare of all creatures, the king says to them, I will do as you say, and wakes from his dream. Moved to pity, he says to his brothers, the deer that remain alive after slaughter of their herd came to me in my dream and told me that the few who remained were like the seed of a new herd. They blessed me and begged me to move, to be, begged me to be compassionate to them. What they say is true. We ought to take pity on the animals of the forest. We have been feeding on them for a year and 8 months. Let us move to the charming Kambyakavana, that most beautiful forest at the head of the desert near the lake Trinavindu. It has plenty of game, and we can live there for the remainder of our exile until we go to Agnatavasa for its final year. The Pandavas gathered their spare belongings and, accompanied by the Brahmanas and all the others who live with them, with Indrasena and their other retainers following behind, they moved the very next day. They go along the roads where excellent corn and clear water are available to travelers, and at length see the sacred ashram of Kambyaka, steeped in the aura of tapasya, surrounded by their excellent brahmanas. The sons of Pandu enter the Kambyaka Vana, much as pious men enter Swarga. Easy enough. Kanto, I think the point itself is more than anything else, I guess. The whole dream, not, is it prophetic? I don't think it is a prophetic dream in a sense. Unavoidably, there are some prophecies along the lines of, yeah, you have to move because if not, you are going to kill all the deer in this ecosystem and you are going to be doing harm. You are not going to be following karma's path or adhering to karma because Kshatriya karma is not to kill everything, but rather to kill just what needs to be killed and live alive what needs to be left alive. So that's in essence the biggest interest of this one canto. But besides that, why do I guess the thesis as to why Christina sees that, I guess, it might be the interesting part, how it is that this one Pandava gets to realize that he's doing a harm to the world. It is something along the lines, maybe, let's say like this. Because he gets to have a prophetic dream, which many Kshatriyas might not, we can identify that then, yes, this is, once again, it is just a reinforcer. This guy is indeed a very generous and good king, because otherwise, many other Kshatriyas would have not been capable of realizing that they were killing everything in the location that they were residing in, and they would have remained there until they killed all the other deers. I think that is sort of the point behind why it is that we see this happening, particularly in the vision that Yudhishthira has of the deers. But after that, it's the normal stuff. Yeah, they keep on living their frugal lives because they need to is it to not have so much stuff until the 13 years pass. So that's sort of implicit in the rest of the story, if you understand it, I guess. Anyway, continuing. Which canto was that? 256, I think. Yeah. Wow! New canto or new parva? Wow. Canto 257. Brihidraunika parva. By Sampayana continued. The noble Pandavas live in the forest for 11 years in poverty. Mahabharata Risabha. Although they deserve happiness, they pass their days in some misery, brooding on the circumstances that have overtaken them, and living on fruit and roots. Raharishi Yudhishthira thinks about the suffering his brothers endure, and remembering that all this is a result of his gambling, he cannot sleep. He feels as if his heart has been pierced with a lance. He remembers the harsh words of the Suta's son, and repressing the venom of his wrath, he passes his time outwardly calm, but in anguish all the time. Arjuna, the twins Draupadi, and that the strongest of all men, Bhima, are racked with heartache when they look at Yudhishthira, knowing that only a short time remains of their exile, and sustained by rage and hope, those bulls among men submit their bodies to the most rigorous and exacting discipline. Some time elapses, and one day the great Tapasvin, Satyavati's son Vyasa, comes to the Pandavas. Seeing him approach, Yudhishthira goes to receive the Mahamuni reverentially. He bows down to Vyasa, releasing him, and after the rishi is seated, the self-restrained Yudhishthira sits down, waiting for the sage to speak. At the sight of his grandson, emancipated and living on the wild produce of the forest, the Maharishi is moved to pity. His voice choking, he says, Yudhishthira Dharmaraja, those who do not perform rigorous tapasya do not attain happiness. Joy and sorrow come in turns. No man enjoys uninterrupted happiness. A wise man, knowing that life has its ups and downs, neither overly celebrates nor grieves. When happiness comes, one should enjoy it and when misfortune comes, one should endure it. In much the same way as the farmer lives by the seasons. Nothing is superior to tapasya. With tapasya one gains great rewards. Mahabharata, there is nothing that asceticism cannot achieve. Truth, sincerity, freedom from anger, justice, self-control, restraint of the mind, avoidance of malice, innocence, sanctity, and subduing of the senses. These purify a man whose deeds are pure. Foolish ones, addicted to vice and bestial ways, merit beard as animals in the next life, and they are never happy. The fruit of what one does in this world is reaped in the next. Even so, one must discipline oneself by performing tapasya and keeping vratas, cheerfully and without ulterior motives, and man must give gifts that he can afford, after humbly paying his respects to the recipient. The man who always tells the truth gains a trouble-free life. The man who has no anger attains sincerity, and one who is free from malice acquires supreme contentment. The man who has subdued his senses and controls his mind never knows tribulation, nor does he feel envy or sorrow at another's prosperity. The man who gives everyone his due and who bestows boons attains felicity and possesses every object of enjoyment. The man free from envy reaps the reward of perfect health. He who gives honor to one to whom it is due attains birth in an illustrious house, and he who has subdued his senses never sees misfortune. The man whose mind is inclined to good, after paying his debt to nature, is born again with a righteous mind. Yudhishthira says, O mighty sage, which has greater benefits in the next world, giving gifts or performing tapasya, and which is more difficult? Vyasa says, Child, there is nothing harder than giving charity. Men thirst for wealth, which is not easy to earn. Magnanimous one, brave men renounce comfort and go deep into the sea or the forest in order to acquire wealth. Some take to farming and cattle rearing, and some become servants of others. It is difficult to part with wealth that is obtained with such difficulty, since nothing is harder to practice than charity. I think that bestowing a boon is superior to everything. Especially bear in mind that hard earned wealth should, in the proper time and place, be given away to pious men. But that the giving away of ill-gotten riches can never liberate the giver from the evil of rebirth. It has been said, Yudhishthira, that by giving even a small gift in a spirit of pure-mindedness to a deserving person, a man gains inexhaustible rewards in the next world. There is a story in this connection about how Mudgala was rewarded for having given a bucket of berehi, corn. That's what canto are we in? 257, I think? Yeah, 257. So, we have a lot to analyze. I don't know if that is all that important. At the same time, it's at some point. I found myself. Let me say this. Let me start with this. I found myself in a stage in which most of the readings are not so mysterious. It doesn't take so much time to actually see what things mean. At least from my personal perspective, as in, oh yeah, yeah, I can explain this phenomena through this one explanation in the modern times and such. It's this recontextualizing what we are saying isn't that hard personally. So I guess it will be at least a rapid fire one. So let me start with what Vyasa says. Those who do not perform rigorous tapasya, as in those who are not capable of following their rites, cannot obtain happiness. No, because a life without rituals and without the capacity to follow the structures that we are given by our elders is a life that might not be capable of understanding what is the thing that gives us in any way happiness. Initial idea, okay, then. The second concept, yeah, this whole stuff of understanding how life is full of both good and bad times, and unavoidably that nothing lasts forever. That the same premise is found, I guess. I don't think I should actually mention other books, but yeah, um, you can find similar premises in many other scriptures. It is the realization that yeah, life in itself is full of events that are both good and bad. That there is no way to only live in good or bad sorts of events, that one has to learn to deal with them, and that unavoidably the one who learns to do so will have a better life, and that it is necessary for the process of doing that to never enjoy too much anything, nor to be struck onto the utmost suffering because of the bad times that have also come in the life of anyone. In the in the third paragraph, once again, we revisit the idea of the pasya, the capacity to follow. I guess in this case, we're not just talking about a ritual, but also it is the realization of following all that has to do with rituals, meditations, and the whole connection of things that is found within the pasya. We have this truth, sincerity, freedom from anger, chastity, self-control, restraint of the mind, avoidance of malice, innocence, sanctity, and subduing of the senses. All of this stuff, or all of that stuff, which is also part of tapasya, is what contributes towards the purification, so to speak, a better existence. Uh, Unavoidably, fourth paragraph is the reality of yeah, the people who are not capable of following this get consequences that lead them to worse lives. In this case, I guess the justification is also the reminder of more so in the Hinduistic system of belief of yeah, we have not only this life to think about, but the next one, and by having to consider our next lives, we become capable of observing, realizing, and properly grasping the necessity to take care of ourselves in the righteous ways so that we do not suffer not only not in this one life but also not in the next one, because if we are going to be reincarnated, it means that we have to take care not only of our present times but also of all that has to do with the general servants of happiness. That's the one that we get to find in the scriptures. That is sort of the meta message that is under that, so to speak. Nobody can define by themselves what are the Vedas or anything like that. You have to understand them through a medium of sorts, any kind of medium, but a medium of sorts. And yeah, that's what is this one fourth? Paragraph fifth one. Yeah, the capacity to do more nice things. In this case, we're talking about giving gifts, as in having no worldly attachments to stuff so that you can be actually contributing towards the rest of the world. The capacity to also not be a liar, to not be persuaded by emotions such as anger and malice. And I think, I don't know, here I would make a point or an annotation, footnote here. I don't actually know. I don't actually think there is something being properly explained. In the process of reading so many things, there is one interesting idea that I have seen mentioned, not here directly, or not as such, particularly in these discussions. It does exist in other areas, in other contexts, but not particularly when Brahmanas are talking and whatnot. And that is that also something incredibly important, or not just it pertains to giving gifts and such, and it could probably apply more to this giving charity and whatnot. That the reality of, okay, once you are already doing well enough, you should be capable of supporting those who are around you. It is the role of the warrior to be capable of providing for those who have less, so that it is not exactly a weird conception, an interesting conception of charity that they possess about being capable of helping the poor ones so that they don't suffer as much. Because indeed, you have already enough riches to sustain your own life. Therefore, you should at that point start to give out stuff to others. But the message isn't given exactly in that sense of, yeah, once you have enough, you should be helping others so that they can also attain happiness. It is something along the lines of, oh, well, yeah, if you give out the stuff, the gods are going to benefit you because blah, 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 blah. I understand it, but I don't find it to be the most convincing argument, personally, I guess. But that is too much of a personal ring at that point. The notation was that, basically, that, yeah, it doesn't say it in that one particular way. It's cool, but for some reason it doesn't, I guess. And now, yeah, final paragraph of what Vyasa says is this concept of all the other things that have to do with understanding the consequences of our actions in terms of our relationships with others and also with ourselves. Giving honor to people, subduing our senses, following the rules, so to speak, not just tradition, but also the rules, as in the man whose mind is inclined to good after paying his debt to nature is born again with a righteous mind. Yeah, that sort of stuff. So, something else that am I missing? I guess this one particular side that the person who can even in their last breath be capable of finally realizing that they have the capacity to give something to others, and that at once finally attains the capacity to liberate from their own self-perception and their own interest and nothing else, and has given something out in that pure mindedness, wholehearted interest for the other, sort of attains realms of liberation. That's the idea. Do not be so much self-centered. That's the final paragraph that sadly doesn't. What's the word? Dwell too much on that, or delve too much on the concept. But yeah, that's that. Anyways, Canto 218. No, 258. We should continue. Let me. I think we can. Let me think actually. Before continuing in itself, let me see how many cantos can we actually do. We have, yeah, we have a lot of conversation with Vyasa particularly now. No. Okay. We don't have that much. We have only 2 more cantos, so we can do those 2, and after that we're done for today. Nothing better than to finish with some proper observation with stuff. So now we have the story of who was it? Mudagala. Continuing. Canto 258. Brihid Draunika Parva continued. Yudhishthira says, why did that Brahmana give away a throne of Brihi? To whom and how did he give it? Tell me all this. I think of the life of a virtuous man as being worthwhile, whose conduct places him of the 6 attributes who sees and knows everything. Vyasa says, Rahan, there lived in Kurukshetra a man of Dharma named Motagala. He was truthful, free from malice, and had subdued his senses. He lived by the dictates of Sila and Uncheha. Although he lived a life of Titson-like frugality, that Mahadabasbin entertained his guests, celebrated the sacrifice called Istigrita, and performed other rituals. The sage, his wife, and son ate during one fortnight and spent the next fortnight collecting a drone of corn like a pigeon would. This innocent and guileless Arichi celebrated the Darsa and Parnamasya Yagnas and passed his days by taking the food that remained after the devils and his guests had eaten. On auspicious lunar days, Trilokapati Indra, accompanied by the celestials, will partake of the food offered at the sage's yagnas, and so, great king, this man lived the life of a Muni and cheerfully entertained his guests on such days. As that pure man happily gave away his food, what remained of the throne of corn increased with the arrival of each new guest. By dint of the purity of soul with which Mudgala gave food, it increased so much that he fed hundreds of learned Brahmanas with it. O king, it came to pass that Durvasa Muni heard of the virtues Bharat observing Mudgala, the half-naked sage, looking like a madman in his sparse, ragged clothing, his head hairless, came to Mudgala's kutila, Pandava, muttering all kinds of insults. The Muni said rudely to the Brahmana, "Best of Brahmanas, I have come here in search of food." Mudgala said to the sage, "Welcome," and offered the hunger-crazed ascetic water to wash his mouth and feet, and, accustomed as he was to feeding his guest, placed excellent food before Durvasa. The hungry rishi frantically ate the food. Mudgala then gave him more, and, having again eaten it all, Durvasa smeared his body with the unclean scraps, and went away as abruptly as he had come. He came again in the same way during the next season, and again ate all the food that Mudgala gave him. After Durvasa left, Mudgala, without having eaten anything himself, gathered corn, as prescribed by the Uncha Vrata. Hunger did not shake his equanimity, nor did anger or gall, nor did a sense of degradation or agitation enter into the heart of that Brahmanottama who, with his son and wife, led the Uncha way of life. Durvasa appeared 6 times at Mudgala's asarama. Never was he able to detect even the slightest distress in Mudgala's heart. Instead, he saw only joy. Extremely pleased, the Muni said to Mudgala, "There is not another being on earth as pure-hearted and charitable as you. Pangs of hunger drive away dharma and rob men of patience. The tongue, which loves delicacies, lures men towards them. Life is sustained by food, and the mind is fickle and hard to control. Dhyana consists of concentrating the mind and the senses. To renounce in a pure spirit something painfully earned is difficult indeed. Yet, pious one, you have achieved this. In your company we feel grateful and happy. You possess self-restraint, fortitude, justice, control of body and mind, mercy and virtue. By what you have done, you have conquered all the worlds and gained admission into realms of beatitude. Even the Swargavasis proclaim the greatness of your dana. Most Holy One, you will go to heaven in your own body." Whilst the Muni Durvasa was speaking, a Devatuta appeared before Mudgala on a Vimana yoked with swans and cranes, hung with a network of bells, scented with an unearthly fragrance and colorfully painted, and it had the power of going anywhere at will. The divine messenger said to the Brahmana, "O Rishi, climb onto this chariot. You have earned the right by your deeds. You have attained the reward of your tapasya." The sage said, "Devatuta, please describe to me the attributes of those who live in Swarga. What are their austerities, and to what end do they practice them? What constitutes happiness in heaven? What sorrows are there? Highborn men have declared that one has friendship with the pious by merely walking 7 paces with them. Lord, I ask you these things in the spirit of thy friendship. Tell me the truth without hesitation, and tell me what is good for me. After I hear what you say, I will decide what to do. Says Vyasa. I think I don't think it's all that complicated to understand this one. The story is, yeah, una boda ah, a narration to understand, a tale to get why giving charity to others is so important, and also the spirit in which it needs to be done. Never to get angry when somebody asks for stuff, even if they are rude and whatnot. The point is to be charitable, not to, oh yeah, you know what, this person is asking for something that I can actually give them. But they are not doing it with a smile on their face. I will get angry. Wow, no, you can do things that you know you can, even if the other person is not being as gentle as they could. It doesn't impede you from actually playing the role that you are given in life, so to speak. So I guess it's that sort of the point, not that much of a complicated idea. In that sense, then yeah, comes the idea of consequences, because those actions are of such a great importance and carry so much great things, or such wonderful things onto life, that unavoidably anybody who can follow them gets to reap wonderful consequences. So yeah, that's what we are also having to keep on seeing happening right now. Canto, yeah, on Canto 259, because once again, the narration didn't stop there. But before continuing, let me drink water. What? Wow. I was going to say water. Sorry. Canto 259. Brigid Draunica Parva continued. Vyasa continues. The messenger of the gods said, Maha Muni, you're a simple man, having been offered heavenly bliss, which brings great honor, you still deliberate like a person of little wisdom. The realms known as Swarga exist above. They tower high and have excellent paths that the chariots of the devas traverse. 80 dishonest people, those that have not practiced tapasya, those that have not performed great yagnas, cannot go there. Only men of pure souls and subdued minds, who have their bodies and senses under control, who are free from malice, who are intent on the practice of charity, heroes and men with battle scars, who have with subdued minds and senses performed the most worthy rites attain these realms, O Brahmana, which are gained only by dharmic deeds, and where only the pious live. Madgala and Swarga are myriads of exotic, resplendent worlds that bestow everything one can want. What the celestial beings, the devas, the satyas, the biswas, the maharishis, Yama, the dharmans, the gandharvas, and the apsaras have. There is that monarch of mountains, Goldomeru, extending over 33,000 yohanas. Mudgala, there are the sacred gardens of the devas, Nandana, the best of them, or to deserving enjoy themselves. There is no hunger, no thirst, no weariness, no fear, or anything unpleasant or inauspicious in Swargaloka. Delightful perfumes pervade, delicious breezes waft, and captivating sounds are everywhere, enchanting the heart. There is no grief, no old age, no effort, and no regret. One attains these worlds as a reward for one's actions. People go there by virtue of their good deeds. Everyone who lives there shines in splendor, and this too is because of their own karma, not because of anything their fathers or mothers have done. Here, there is neither sweat, nor any excrement, nor urine. Oh, Mooney, there is no dust to soil one's garments. Garlands, redolent with divine fragrance, never fade. and altar Bimanas are like this one that I have wrote. Mighty sails, devoid of envy, grief, fatigue, ignorance, and malice, may who have reached heaven live there in perfect happiness. O bull among monies, above this realm are others with superior celestial qualities. Of these, the beautiful and glorious realms of Brahma are the best. Brahmana, that is where riches go, who have been sanctified by the most meritorious deeds, beings named Ribhus live there. They are the gods of the gods. Their realms are supremely blessed and adored even by the devas. These beings shine with their own luster and bestow every object of desire. They do not suffer from the pangs that women might cause. They do not possess material wealth, and they are free from gall. Unlike the devas, the Ribhus do not live on Havis or Amrita, yet their forms are so divine that they cannot be perceived by the senses. These eternal gods of the devas have no desire for happiness. Ah, okay. Sorry. These eternal gods of the devils have no desire for happiness' sake, nor do they change at the completion of a revolution of a kalpa. Indeed, they suffer no changes of age or decay. They feel neither happiness nor sorrow. Then how could they be affected by anger or hatred? Mudgala, the gods covet their state of supreme, blissful freedom, moksha, that beings who have desires can never achieve. There are 33 Rebhus to the realms wise men go. After having observed the most excellent Bharatas, or giving charity according to the laws of Dharma, you have succeeded in acquiring this state by your acts of charity. Enjoy the glory of your merit. Such, O Brahmana, is the bliss of Swarga, with all its worlds. I have described the blessings of heaven. Now let me tell you some of its drawbacks. While living in Swarva and enjoying the fruits of his good deeds, a man cannot perform more actions with a view to increasing his punya. He must fear and enjoy all the benefits that he had already accrued. Until they are exhausted, the great shortcomings of the Valoka is that once a man's punya has run out, he will fall from terror. The fall of a person whose mind is soaked in bliss has to be counted as the greatest defect of Swarga. The, dis- the discontent and sadness that result from a life less blissful than one has lived in the bright and blessed kingdom will be hard to bear. Those who are about to descend from Swarga have stunned mind and agitated emotions. As the garlands they wear are about to fade, fear begins to invade their hearts. These are terrible experiences, Mudgala, and extend even to Brahmaloka. In Swarga, men who have earned their places there are godlike. Their virtues cannot be counted. O Muni, yet when their punya karma is exhausted, they are born again as human beings, and in that form they can acquire much fortune and happiness. However, if they are unable to acquire knowledge here, they devolve to bestial states. The consequences of karma done in this world are felt in the next. This world has been ordained to be one of deeds. The other is one of fruit. Mudgala, I have described everything to you. Now, if it pleases you, we must go quickly. Vyasa continues. Mudgala began to think about everything that Devaduta had said. After some thought, that beast of Munis said to the divine messenger, O Devaduta, I bow to you, venerable one. Depart in peace. I do not want to have anything to do with Swarga, which has great bliss from which one must inevitably fall. Those that enjoy heaven are doomed to suffer the deprivation of its joys. I do not desire Swarga. I will strive for that enduring realm where you do not have to lament or be troubled or agitated ever again. When you are there, you have told me of the great defect of Swarga. No, describe to me a realm that has none. To that the divine messenger said, above the abode of Brahma, there is the supreme seat of Vishnu, pure, eternal, and luminous, known as Parabrahman. It is not possible for those attached to material things to go there, nor can those who are arrogant, greedy, and ignorant, or those who feel anger or envy. This place is only for those that are free from attachment, pride, and conflicting emotions, those that have restrained their senses, and for those given to dhyana and yoga. Hearing this, the Muni bade farewell to the Devaduta, and that sage continued living by the Unchka code, and in time became perfectly content. Praise and disapproval became equal to him. A stone and gold were equal in his eyes. With pure jnana yoga, the Brahmana began to meditate, setting his soul on the path to Brahman. He gained the power of knowledge and understanding and did attain the supreme state of emancipation, moksha, which is eternal. Therefore, son of Kunti, you must not crave. By rest and tapasya, you will regain your flourishing kingdom. Sorrow and joy revolve around a man, like the points on a wheel turning on its axle. When the 13th year of your exile has ended, you will get back the kingdom that was yours, and your fathers and grandfathers before that. So, cool the fever of your heart. Saying this to Yudhishthira, the Muni Vyasa returns to his Sarama and to his relentless tapasya. That's what was this canto? Or not this canto, this parva? Berhi Draonika parva. Yeah. Canto 259. Yeah. I understand this story. Now, what is the point for us? I guess it's the revelation. I am pretty sure that we have already discussed this in different ways before, not so directly, as in, oh yeah, Sorga is not such a nice place because it unavoidably ends. So the goal then becomes to finally try to attain what's Parabrahman. That's what matters more than anything else, because that one is eternal happiness. But I don't know, man. I understand that. But all of this is, yeah, personally, I don't really like that you need to justify your good actions with the stuff of this sort. But anyways, the point is not to judge so much. The point is, yeah, to understand that there are consequences to actions. In this case, it is the more pious, the more proper, the more good you are, the better consequences will be. And unavoidably, even if you don't aspire to great things, if you are not completely honest about them, even those consequences that are good in themselves have a lasting and or a final point. It is only the person who can aspire to be the greatest, the most purest one, the one who gets to actually attain such freedom from the rest of the world, so to speak. So yeah, that's, I guess, the message. Besides the story itself, I think so. Yeah, I don't think we have that much more. Let me copy this, and we are good. We are actually good. After a little bit over 2 hours, I I myself am good also. So yeah, that's it for today. I guess that has been 30 pages of the Mahabharata in one day, so in one sitting. So we are fine. But yeah, it was far more understandable. I said before, it isn't as complicated sometimes to understand. I think it has to do more than anything else with the preparation that one has and the capacity to not relate. What is it? The different ideas and realize that yes, what are the metaphors being utilized and what not, I guess. But it is an incredibly entertaining task also, so I cannot actually complain. It's not like, oh wow, yeah, it's we're doing this, it's so horrible. No, it's the pleasure of getting to do something of this sort. That's how I would describe it. So yeah, thanks for this. It has been a very wonderful experience. Now, we are over. Have a yeah, we are actually over. So yeah, have a good night. Thanks for everything. Yeah, have a good night, day, evening, whatever. Thanks for the patience, for the interest. Thanks for all. And yeah, take care. Be happy. be responsible, drink water, all of that stuff. Rest if you need to, do stuff if you need to, and I don't know, tomorrow we are finding ourselves here yet again. And even if that doesn't happen, this was still wonderful. Thanks for all of this. And yeah, good night.